Now, Newcastle have inquired about SL Benfica's 23-year-old left back, Amar Dedic. Um, what could this mean for Manchester United, who is interested in Lewis Hall from club Newcastle United? Is it possible that now Newcastle United is ready to sell Lewis Hall or is ready to negotiate with Manchester United for the signing of Lewis Hall? That is why they are already in the market chasing another left back. Matthias Gisel is the new manager for Newcastle United from the Saudi Pro League. He's known as a serial winner, an unknown serial winner who has dominated Austria. He has moved into the Saudi Pro League. So he's been successful there. He has come to be at the helm of affairs at Newcastle United, and they've inquired about Amar Dedic, who's a 23-year-old left back. Is it possible they want to sell Lewis Hall to Manchester United? This is ASK Morgan Sports, and we bring you the best of analysis. Now, Xavi Hernandez. Xavi Hernandez has been appointed the national team head coach of Netherlands. Interestingly, since 1978, the Netherlands have never appointed a non-Dutch to be the head coach of the national team. And I'll explain to you why. Then the Dutch people believe in the total football philosophy. They believe in the total football philosophy. That is the DNA they play. They think that anybody who's not Dutch cannot implement the total football. They think that the Netherlands is the origin of the total football. And so it is important for them to bring coaches who believe in this idea. The philosophy is supreme to the extent that it has been implemented across major academies in Netherlands. And so most of the academies in Netherlands, when you go to Netherlands to watch the Eredivisie or to watch a normal match in Netherlands, the style of play are all the same. They all play the same kind of football. You see them playing those free-flowing attacking football, quick transition and all of that. That has been the signature of them. And so for them to deviate from that signature, that DNA tradition, is an abomination for them. I am surprised today they decided to pick Xavi Hernandez. And you see that recently Ancelot came to clarify his future, that he doesn't want to become a national team coach now. He wants his next job to be a club job so that he can train with his players every single day at this time of his career. That ring the bell in my mind that probably he was being considered for the role, and as he did not show interest, they had to look elsewhere. Now, it has gone on. Now it looks like the Dutch game has been on a decline, because from 1974, 1978, they went to back-to-back World Cup finals. They went to back-to-back World Cup finals, 1974, 1978. I mean, they've struggled a little bit, but in 2010, they went to the final again, but then they couldn't win, thanks to that last-minute winner from Andres Iniesta that was set up on a platter for him by Cesc Fabregas. What it means is that for some time now, the Dutch football has been bleeding and they need a change. Now it has become serious to the extent that Ajax Amsterdam, which is the face of the Dutch football, Ajax Amsterdam, which is the face of the Dutch football, they have now appointed a Spanish coach, Michel, to be in charge of Ajax. It tells you that they've noticed that against today's football, the game has changed to the extent that the total football is not enough to secure you trophies or to win you tournaments. And for me, I applaud them for this decision they've taken. What is this total football? This total football was started by Rinus Michel. It was made better by Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff was a footballer for Barcelona. He later on became a coach for Barcelona. Then he deepened the idea of the total football in Barcelona. It was under Johan Cruyff that Barcelona started learning this passing, free-flowing football. It was something they copied from the total football and they made it better. So people like Pep Guardiola, Vicente Del Bosque only improved on the total football to make it better. For example, some of the clear differences between the total football and the tiki-taka formation is the use of speed and pace. In total football, you need wingers who are pacey, you need wingers who are fast and all of that to be able to penetrate and give. The game includes everything: pace, transition, counter attack, everything. That's why we call it total football. However, in Tiki Taka, you don't need pacey attackers. It is today that we've seen pacey players like Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal playing for the Spanish national team and doing well. Those times when the other players were playing, I mean, David Silva, Andres Iniesta, Xavi, and then they will keep only David Silva, who's an out and out attacker. They will pack the game with midfielders. That is just the only difference. Tiki Taka, you don't need pace. Total football, you need pace. That's just the difference. But they made it better with the jockey, the position formation, the position, the interpositional play, how the players exchange positions when they are with the ball and when they are penetrating into rocky zones with the ball. That is just it. I think now the Dutch people have understood that they introduced the idea, but it has metamorphosized into a manner that has even beaten them in World Cup final in 2010. They've come to understand that the game has changed to the extent that the total football is not enough to guarantee you trophies. And so now they need to learn the new way. I think the only reason why they are bringing in Xavi is for Xavi to add up to the total football, add the tiki-taka system to the total football. And when they get that, they will become difficult to beat because they've noticed that the only reason why Spain is difficult to beat in this world is because of the tiki-taka system. A system that allows you to attack effortlessly. And recently we've seen in the World Cup, that it also allows you to defend very, very well. Who wouldn't like this? So yes, I think it is a good step for Xavi Hernandez. He's quite too young to be a national team coach, but it is important that we redefine Dutch football because the way football is going with the Orange exiting the World Cup in round of 32, it is shameful, it is bad. The Orange may have never won the World Cup, but when we talk about footballing nations, they are top. They are one of the national teams that if you love football, you have to personally support. And to see their performances recently is very sad. They need a revamp. They need a certain rejuvenation. And I think that is what Xavi is going to give them. They are not wrong. They are not wrong to pick Xavi right now because every generation, every generation has its own crop of coaches and their nationalities. So, for example, there was a time Italian coaches were dominating. Where there was a time Italian coaches were really dominating. Uh, then there's a time Argentine coaches were doing very well. You understand? At a point in time, Italy alone had about 8 or 9 top coaches. We had Claudio Ranieri, Fabio Capello, Carlo Ancelotti, Giovanni Trapattoni, a lot of coaches, a lot of coaches. It has gotten to a time most of the top coaches in the world now are Spanish. Most of the top coaches in the world now are Spanish. Luis Enrique is back-to-back Champions League winner. Pep Guardiola, the least said about him, the better. Mikel Arteta of Arsenal is doing wonders with Arsenal. Unai Emery is doing great with Aston Villa. Xabi Alonso just came to Chelsea and then he's going to do great. Don't forget he won a crucial Bundesliga title in Germany with Bayern for Leverkusen. Luis de la Fuente has shown the world what Spanish football means. Andoni Raiola has taken the helm of affairs in Liverpool, and he is going to do well. I really believe in that guy. Cesc Fabregas has showed us that the Italian football can change. He's changing the face of the Italian football as we speak now. You can't have one nationality that is having more top coaches than the Spanish nationality. You understand? And so for me, picking a Spanish right now is the right way to go because they've shown us that their philosophy, their idea about football is the best one and is the reigning one currently. And if anybody wants to develop, they have to follow the same trend. I think that the way Johan Cruyff encouraged Barcelona to invest in the La Masia, introduce the total football philosophy to players at a young age, get them inculcated into the idea, let them accept the style of play, and then you'd integrate them into the team proper when the time comes. I think it is the same thing. It is for the same reason they've brought Xavi to the Orange to set up a DNA for the national team and for all the other teams so that the teams can play, pick the players young and develop them into that state. Because if you are playing a philosophy in a national team, you would have to introduce it at a juvenile level because national teams, we don't purchase players. You can't go to the market and say, this player suits your style and so you want to bring him in. The only way you get to do it the only way you get to do it is indeed by making sure you have prepared your youth players for the style of play. You have trained them according to the style, imbibe the philosophy in them, so that when they take up the ranks, where they go through the ranks, they come up and they already know what to do. So the moment you lose a senior player, once you call up a junior player into the squad, he fits into it perfectly. I am rooting for Xavi Hernandez for this one. I believe in him. We all know that the troubles in Barcelona that prevented them from making signings is the reason why he failed. That is to also say it is a surprise to some of us that Hansi Flick has delivered in Barcelona. It also means Hansi Flick is a very exceptional coach. However, Hansi Flick being an exceptional coach doesn't mean Xavi Hernandez is a bad one. I think to some extent he delivered something in Barcelona. We all expect him to still deliver something else in football, in national team Netherlands. This is ASK Morgan Sports on YouTube and on TikTok. Please subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, watch the video, like the video, go to the comment section and tell us what you think. Thank you so much. The South Korean FA have apologized for something that is very, very critical, and I want all of us to pay attention to it. They've apologized for using the FA's money to do sexual favors for referees somewhere in the 2010 coming up, when they were preparing for 2012 Olympic Games and 2014 World Cup. Sexual favors for referees. Anyway, so South Korea came to the World Cup. Recently, they've been under a lot of backlash, but let me give a little bit background before we proceed. They came to the World Cup. They couldn't qualify out of the group stage. In a group of, I think, Czech Republic, Mexico, and South Africa, they couldn't qualify to the next stage. Now, when they came back, both manager and FA president resigned after the World Cup. They apologized and resigned after the World Cup. They were grilled at a parliamentary hearing. Parliament invited them to come and tell Parliament why they couldn't qualify from the group stage, why that abysmal performance at the World Cup. When they appeared, they were bitterly grilled. Now after that, now after everything, now they have resigned. The government have set up a committee that is being led by J.S Park, the legend of Manchester United. Yes, the legend of Manchester United. And then they are planning on holding an election this year. I'll come to the election and explain a lot of reforms that J.S Park is bringing into the FA's election. Probably the Ghanaian FA should also take a cue and copy one or two things from what J.S Park is doing at South Korea. Now, what we are hearing now is that between those periods from 2010 coming, now the FA may have used its money amounting to about 5.6 million, amounting to 2,900 and almost 30 pounds to pay for massage and other things for referees who come to officiate matches involving South Korea. Look, Chroma, we call something we call something operations. We call something operations. When referee comes, yes, let's go and get them. Let's go and get them some support, get them some help to soften their stance for us. Kroma, kroma, kroma. And interestingly, it's the same thing the South Korean FA have done. But I am much more interested in the broader picture. Now, sources close to the FA have disclosed some of this information to the government who are investigating the FA. Now, one media house got hold of this investigation, and we've also gathered the report for you. The main issue here is that now we want to get more details. We want to understand the extent of this damage. We want to know the referees that are involved, because we understand the Japan Football Association is also investigating some of its referees, because some of their referees are part of this particular scandal. Now, we are interested in knowing who the referees were, who the referees who received these sexual favors from the South Korean Football Association. We want to know. We also want to know the matches, the games that they were involved in, the matches that these referees were involved in, the matches that these referees received sexual favors in. We want to know these matches. We also want to know the opponents of these matches, the victims of these operations, the clubs who have been victimized. We want to know the outcome of these matches. We want to know the outcome of these matches, the performance of these referees on the pitch. For all you know, these are some of the games that end up being very controversial, end up with controversial decisions from referees. We want to know. And all of these, we want to gather all of these in an attempt to ascertain the extent to which the integrity of the game has been damaged. We want to understand this. We want to know how well these actions by the South Korean FA has compromised on the integrity of the FA. We want to understand this. We want to get, so they should wrap up with the investigation, bring all the details, make all the details public, so that we can all feel yes, so that we can have closure. We can have closure on whoever was harmed, whoever was offended by some of these actions. Now, on the election, J.S Park has assured the people of Korea and its government that they are going to hold an election this year and elect new leaders to man the FA. Now, J.S Park has also recommended that the existing electoral college in the FA's election amounts to about 200 delegates. Now he's proposing we expand it to 20,000 delegates. Listen well, football people now, listen well. We expanded to 20,000 delegates. That the 200 delegates involves club representatives, officials, coaches, and all of those affiliate bodies. Now they want to expand it to like 20,000, so that proper important stakeholders in football, to include a lot more people who have genuine opinion about football, so that they can all take the decision that will help football, help the game to grow. And for me, I think it is superb. It is superb if they are able to implement this. It is. I will be very excited. I'm hoping our own FA will be studying what's happening in South Korea and take a cue to one or two things that are happening in South Korea currently as we are speaking. This has been an ASK Morgan production. This is where we draw the curtains for you, and we will come your way with more. Kindly follow us on TikTok, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, like the video, go to the comment section, and then let us know what you think.